So just to make a little context with what I'm about to say, because I need to kind of limit my use of other content creators' work or any music or anything. But I just want to acknowledge that Pop the Balloon with Arlette may not have been the first, may not be the only, but that is the general, that is the bar. That is the one that goes viral. That is the one that a lot of people knows. And for me, personally, I'm someone who would go on the show. But I think I'm gonna create something a little bit similar, but it's gonna be a little bit more local, and maybe not completely, not completely about just finding a match, right? What's up, blessed ones? You are now blaring the podcast. Brought to you by AB1 Studios. Thank you for your time. Listening. You wanna know something else, blessed ones? So, my main thing is just the amount of people who are struggling, who are hurting, who is dealing with trauma when it comes to relationships. And I'm not a love guru, I'm not a professor. I don't think anybody can really claim it for someone who's been married, for someone who's a parent, for someone who had his fair share. I don't know exactly when. I still don't know exactly how, but I want to create or at least generate the idea of the balloon challenge, I'm going to say, because there's a lot of misconceptions of what the Pop the Balloon show is. But like I mentioned, the one that the majority knows about, the one with Arlette and BM, shout out to them because they created this platform of single people fly out to Arizona. I don't know the whole concept of it. I might have to do some more work and research on, how to get on the show. But one thing that I admire is using the balloon as a symbol of, of access. So I had a few ideas because again, it's like I think art imitate life and inspiration influences more inspiration or influence and inspires more influence. But for me, for someone who's been living this love life for years, I must say since the age of 14, this kind of trickled desire in me to, I want to do something. But see, for me, someone who was still at my big age, 37, I'm still trying to, be who I'm meant to be. And from a failed marriage to failed relationships after failed relationships, I really just want to, push the envelope and see if there's others, within my community, within my area, who is desiring the same thing. Because for one, like I look at the show, watch the show, and I see there's a lot of career folks up there. And now, granted, like I said, I don't think someone who is I'm not someone who believes that just because you're not in your career or just because you don't have the finances that you can't find love, because in some sense it's almost like the more successful you are, the more people are going to come and gravitate towards you, which is always good. But in its hindsight, for those who have the same faith base and the same standard as me, money isn't everything. So I have decided maybe starting next year. It's just all it takes is just courage. But maybe starting next year, I want to, I want to do something where it's gonna be, it's really I think it's gonna change the dynamic of dating. As far as whether just to kind of acquire something, it'd be something's called like, ball or black or something like that. I haven't figured it out yet, but just to throw it out there. And even if I initiate a thought in somebody else's mind to create something similar, like Pop the Balloon, that is a phenomenal show. I looked at a few episodes. Haven't looked at all of them, but they all, like I said, they're all great. They're all fun. They even had the reunion show. So I always want to give a shout out to BM and Arlette, who in fact I did manage to catch their wedding video on YouTube. So like I said, it was just it was just random thing. Like I don't even know when I first started looking at Pop the Balloon, but I remember I said, I'm gonna go here because I know there was, like I said, just because you wasn't the first person to do it doesn't mean that yours isn't the best content. Because that's one thing about me as well. Like I used to always have this desire, need to feel like, hey, this is something that I do as well. This is something that I always acknowledge. This is something like, it's always kind of like, hey, this ain't the first person. Sometimes people will get credit for, being innovative, but they didn't create it. But at the same time, to elevate, because we're all looking for love. But like this particular thing, I do want to, come, like, so I'm in Virginia. And as you might know, and there might be some shows already out there on YouTube, wherever platform you're on, there might already be some stuff out there. But Virginia's for lovers. So you just want to, kind of generate a different dynamic, however. So instead of, the balloon, multiple people having a balloon, there'll just be one person with the balloon. And the interesting thing that I want to do with what it is, like, so I'm not going to give out my whole idea, is that the person who is the 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 individual who is looking will decide to give the balloon out. So if you like, if this is the person that you want to be with, you give them the balloon because it's like, hey, you're taking me as I am. But it's almost going to be kind of like in a sense of there's going to be notes in there. There's going to be different things in the balloon, kind of like a pinata. But it's gonna be interesting. There's a couple things that I wanna do, but that's that. I do want to also take this time to acknowledge all the single parents, fathers, mothers, just doing it. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes the relationships don't work out despite what one might believe or what one might feel, because again there are certain faiths and certain beliefs that it's like, hey, you have to have, you need a two-parent household, which I do conform to, which I do believe sometimes things do not work out. But going back into the exceptions, there are some of those exceptions, but the exception does not negate what actually is. But I still want to give a shout out to the single parents out there doing it. And honestly, when you're a single parent, that really just means that you're the only parent. You're the only one. It doesn't. I mean, there can be different understandings of it. They can be like, okay, yeah, I'm a single father. I'm doing it. I'm single and I'm a father. Personally, you know, it's not necessarily the truth. You can be a single parent, but is the dad around? Is the mom around? To me, that doesn't mean that you are a single parent. But again, I could be, maybe that's just my opinion. Um, the reason why I just want to take into account that is because, like, parenting can be very much hard, and especially when you're trying to date and when you are, like finally in your purpose. Because that's another thing is like when you're in your purpose and you have children, you then have to make sacrifices to whether or not you want to, relocate or redirect your responsibilities, not not for the sake of just yourself, but for your children. Because, like I said, not everybody, fair enough to say, not everybody's going to stand on the morals or, hey, I'm going to like marry the person that I had children with. Because there's a lot of single parents out here with multiple uh multiple support, like whether it's your grandma, granddad, whether it's you have whether your children have multiple fathers, multiple mothers. But to me personally, what I subscribe to is I don't want to just be a a father that is just popping up. I take a lot of pride in my responsibility as a father, as a man. So I don't encourage. I don't encourage, you know, broken homes, broken relationships. I come from, broken homes, broken relationships. I don't encourage it. But if you are someone who comes from that, who is in that, who is, don't really have no, hey, it's not You gotta do what you gotta do. Like I said, I commend you and I respect you. Don't give up. Do not give up. Continue to strive. Continue to, overcome. Because again, I'm not perfect as well. But I do. But what I do encourage is that when you are a parent with multiple children, multiple um, multiple um, men, multiple women, I would like to stand. I would like for you to stand on business, have a healthy relationship, communication relationship. I'm not saying that y'all have to, be buddy buddy. But if you are someone who is going to just continue to sleep around or eat, not even that. I'm not even going to go that deep. But if you're someone who wants children and you're someone who wants to be married, the best thing to do, because this doesn't have anything to do with your religion, but the best thing to do is really just withhold. You have to learn how to fight your flesh, because I'm going to tell you one thing. Coming from a man, if this man does not want to marry you, don't have no intentions on marrying you, or if y'all haven't discussed it, because that's the first thing. Honestly, I going back into everybody's different. I don't want to. I'm not gonna tell someone to, have children with someone that they don't plan to marry. I'm not even gonna tell someone to sleep with someone or have sex with someone unless they are intended to be married. We all fail. We all mess up. We all fall short of the glory. And regardless of what your faith base is, soul ties, whatever your faith base is, children, because we once were children as well. Children is a whole different type of, responsibility. So if you're out here sleeping around and you're comfortable with that, you're comfortable with it. Go through the proper channels, get tested, wear protection. And if you're not going to do that, just be aware of the consequences. Because at the end of the day, we can't be, unless you're someone, unless you're a man. No, not unless you're a man. Unless oh man, what was it? Had a brain for right there. Unless you're someone who has been raped or molested, there's no reason for you to abort your children. I'm against abortion, and I understand that maybe this can get a little blurred when people say, when women say my body, my choice. It is your body, it is your choice, and that's why I say a lot of times people will not necessarily subscribe to religion or subscribe to certain beliefs because of the accountability that those beliefs and faiths have. But if you don't want children right now, or if you don't anticipate, you know, going through that by yourself, just don't do anything. Because going back again to part of the balloon, I'm not gonna, assume, but there's people up on that show already that has children, and there are a lot up there that don't want any more children. So if you're going to date someone that has children that don't want children, and you want children, the best thing to do is to go about your business. Because sometimes we put ourselves in positions that we could have avoided, and just because we horny or because we don't have any self control, we just gonna just just settle for what we get right now. Because you can easily be like, all right, well, if this is intentional, if this is gonna be an intentional relationship, and like I said, not everybody's gonna be intentional, but this is for those who are. If this is gonna be an intentional relationship, I need to know your stance. I need to know like how you feel about children. I need to know like what your morals and background is a little bit, because it's just so it's sometimes just I've been holding a lot of things in, but just looking at this show and talking to a couple of my peers and knowing certain people, there are some people who I spoken with who didn't want children. There are some people who wants to get married, but there was someone who don't want to be married. There are people who has um multiple baby fathers. There are people who have multiple baby mothers, and sometimes the outcome is just because, oh man, you just got a little horny, and it's just like, hey, that's really not, to me, and I believe this hardly. We can feel how we want to feel. We can believe what we want to believe, but in my spirit, deep down, and I know everybody's not a monolith, but at the same time, I believe that when we put ourselves on a when we look at ourselves at a certain tier, because me, one thing is like, hey, all this high value men and high value women and high frequency and all that stuff, that's fine. So like when you look at yourself, when you look at yourself, I'm gonna say like when I look at myself, sometimes I think low of myself, but when I look at myself, it's like, okay, this is the person that God wants me to be. And again, because here's the thing, we can take religion out of it. I'm fair enough and honest enough to say, okay, we can take religion out of it. It don't have to be Christianity, it don't have to be Muslim, it don't have to be none of that stuff. But to me, believe it or not, when I look at myself, I'm fine. I'm 100% fine with just me and my son. Now, do I want more children? Sure. I'm not in a big rush to have any more. If I get to 40 before I have some, then whatever. But I'm still open to take on certain responsibilities if I'm with someone that has children. So, but my thing is, if you're looking at yourself as like to the highest peak, and I'm gonna be honest, you should want to be able to be as accommodating and welcoming to someone who sees themselves as that as well. I'm not gonna be harsh and tell somebody that they devalue themselves, that the more children that they have, especially when they're unwed. But I will say that if you are just out here raising your children or uh living a certain type of lifestyle because that's just what you just came upon, then you're not you're not high value, you're not top tier or anything. But again, I don't necessarily subscribe to that neither, but a lot of people do. And I'm going a little all over the place, but the moral of the story of this whole messaging is blessed ones, blessed ones, blessed. Sometimes it's better to withhold your body, withhold your energy for the right person. I don't care how good this person looks. I don't care how horny you get. Sometimes it's worth it not sometimes all the time it is worth more to withhold yourself for somebody who is worthy. And that's pretty much that's it. That's all. And that was the whole point of me mentioning talking about with the balloon, because the balloon now has not just symbolized, you know, interest and desire. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more to the balloon than just happy birthday. It's a new day and age now, so yeah, to all fairness. But that's pretty much it. There's more, so I got a part two coming, but I'm going to let that sink in. So just remember, when you're dating, whether you're in a financial hardship or not, just always remember to, you know, date date your interests, date something that will be beneficial for the both of you. Date, like match and date, and then just go from there. Do not sit there and settle for just someone who is attractive and someone who is oh, they in a financial, because at the same time, like I said, love and finances doesn't go hand in hand personally. Because I'm a prime example. But like I said, there's those exceptions, but exceptions does not negate what is purposeful. So yeah. But as always, stay safe, stay proud, productive, and positive. If you have any questions, suggestions, requests, please leave a comment or email, and I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. One.